Hello, welcome to episode 3 of Things We Play. My name's Mike Goldman and I'm joined once again by the man that spends more money on avatar clothing than he does his real clothing, Sean Hart.
This is true.
And across from Sean we have the lovely, the delightful, the ever so small but ever so terrifying Cheryl Cat.
Hello.
Hello.
Yay.
Electronic 3. It's happened. And lots of stuff's come out of it, as we know. So we're going to talk about that, I think. But because of that, we're going to take a slightly different format than normal. We haven't got enough time to talk about everything, so we've mainly focused on E3. But before we get to that, there is something else that we need to address. Closure, if you will, for a game that's taken years, over a decade to make. And has been owned by many people for probably only a few hours before it's a shot. I am, of course, talking about Nukem Forever. We've all played it. We all picked it up when it came out day before yesterday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what do we think?
Bit shoddy, isn't it?
A bit shoddy.
I think that's harsh.
It's old school.
It is old school. It's dreadful in many ways.
In a field of very precise shooters, you know, after... Obviously, we've said time and time again how much time we all spend playing Halo. You notice the difference, man, when you're shooting stuff, or not, as the case be, in Duke Nukem.
So just the actual, just general sort of shoot mechanic is old and
it's
kind
very,
of... Yeah,
it feels like Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah, well, it does and it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, the thing about Duke Nukem 3D was that we all played it on bloody PC, hopefully, you know, and not some silly N64 version or anything.
Can't remember what I played on PS1 maybe.
But yeah, even I love Duke 3D. It's one of my favourite games, and this is not Duke 3D. You know, it's things like, I mean, one of the biggest sort of things that people call out of why Duke 3D was cool is the interactivity with your environment, being able to turn on and off light switches and use hand dryers and play pool and whatever. And there's that in Duke Forever as well, but it's kind of all at the beginning. You know, at the beginning, they kind of really assault you with it. Like, yeah, use a whiteboard, pick up a shit from the toilet, and, you know, turn on the lights and stuff. And it doesn't go through the entire game. Regularly, I came around stuff that I thought I'd be able to interact with, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
Coffee machines is a good example. And that's just kind of... That already sort of takes you back about it.
But the thing about Duke 3D is when they did that, it was something new. The video in there, all of the interactivity with the environment was something not really done before.
But it's still not really done now. It's still not to that level.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
that sort of minute detail of being able to just flick a pool ball around the table. I suppose actually, yeah, you get that occasionally. But you know, things like mirrors and stuff, seeing yourself in the mirrors, just a lot of things that Duke 3D brought to the table and made it kind of awesome. But then at the same time as well, when we were playing Duke 3D, which was 15 years ago now, all of it was much cooler then. You know, the pit cops were kind of cool, and Duke himself was kind of cool, and he's just not now.
He's aged back.
Oh yeah, sure, because he's a 80s action hero at the end of the day.
Yeah, and they've tried to address that in the fact that you're kind of, it's all very aware of this stuff, isn't it? And Duke's this big sort of celebrity superhero guy now, and he's got, you know, he monopolises wherever he is. Do we know where it is? Where it's set? Is it just...
just some random American
it's just
city.
Like some random Vegas-like place, I suppose.
Yeah.
And so they've kind of addressed that a little bit, but man, that game is still these little things that just, like, their character models are horrendous. Animation on the characters is just the most laughable thing I've ever seen in my life. It's just like they're missing core frames of their animation, you know. Dialogue's horrendous. Even Duke doesn't himself have enough one-liners for the game. You know, in the same level, you'll start to hear him repeat himself.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's a bit disappointing. It does get better. I haven't finished it, but playing through the bulk of it, the beginning is really weak. It looks horrendous. And then there's every now and then they scatter a level that just feels completely different, like it was made by an entirely different development team, which is most likely the case.
Sure.
You know, we're still unclear exactly how much work Gearbox have done on the title. But you know, just from the dice roll at the beginning opening video, you see so many different game studios attached to it.
I think
that you know, it's easy to think that maybe, you know, some levels just were done and they've kind of just been polished up a little bit and left. And then there's whole new bits. And some of them look alright. You know, there's levels a little bit into it in the Hive where you're going through the sort of like alien environment that genuinely look really good. They've got nice lighting, and it's kind of a disturbing. You look like you're in the sort of anus of an alien, basically. So that was all right, and there's some nice puzzles. Some of the level design's pretty cool. Gerald, you and I were talking earlier about there's an instance where you're shrunk down. Obviously, it's got the classic shrink ray from Duke 3D in it, and you're trying to negotiate a kitchen because you can't touch the floor because it's electrified water everywhere. And I thought that was really well done. You're kind of hopping over, but you go across the cooker tops and you jump onto the tops of the burger bats that are on it to try and get across. And just the way you sort of hide behind ketchup jars and stuff while shooting other pigs is kind of cool. Also, actually, the other things that are really good is it does a good job when you're tiny and you're fighting someone that's not.
Yeah.
That's really quite cool. They're all of a sudden way more difficult than they were before. Actually, took me a good quarter of an hour to just realise, just get them to walk on one of the things that makes them small.
Yeah.
And then you can kill them normally.
I didn't do that. I just walked straight through the level.
Oh, really?
They just kept shooting me. I just sort of sat there. Then run.
Well, that
You
seems
got
to
that
work
option,
also.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a game I want to finish, but it isn't great. it certainly isn't great. What are your other takeaways from it, Sean?
Yeah, obviously I've not played anywhere near as far as you guys into it. Obviously Shell's quite close to the end. What, you reckon, 2
I'd
bosses?
say 2 bosses. And that's it.
We established I'm slightly ahead.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I've got stuck on the statue.
Yeah, no, actually, that's a good point. There's quite a lot of puzzles in it, and that's quite nice. Actually, it's a nice thing you don't often get in FPSs. But the game does suffer sometimes terribly from just not telling you at all what you're supposed to be doing. And there's some horrible platforming in it as well, which is like the bit that you're talking about there. So that's kind of, it's just a weird game that feels like it should never have come out almost. But I'm sure this is just, Gearbox are very, very clear that they plan to do more Duke games. And so I'm sure this is just a case of getting it out, getting the name still, breathing a little bit of life into the name, be it good or bad.
But you never know. There might be kids out there that, in 12 years' time, when the next one comes out, we'll look back fondly and go, yeah, it was the greatest first-person shooter of the day, because everyone thinks that everything's so much better than yesteryear.
It's just difficult to know how to judge. Like, what do you judge Duke Forever on? You can't put it. You can't put it against Call of Duty and Halo. It's not. It's not even really that sort of game. It's just a first-person shooter. That's the only thing that kind of links them. But it's really difficult to sort of go, well, how much slack am I supposed to give it? It was still a full price game.
Yeah.
Well,
they got to recoup money somehow.
Well, yeah, I suppose. But then, I guess everyone initially involved probably has now from the initial sale. But it's where it stands. I do not know. No cutscenes. I don't know. Did anyone check out the multiplayer?
Yes.
You did?
Yes, Paul.
Is it just so it's got the whole? There was a bit of controversy, wasn't there, over slapping girls' butts or something?
Yeah. But the problem is, again, it's the shooting mechanics. Like, literally everyone just misses each other because the mechanics are so shit that you've got to be right in front of each other.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're going to lose. You just sort of shoot at air.
It's just standard deathmatch stuff and capture the flag.
Well, capture the babe.
Capture the babe. Actually, they should have got to capture the slag.
Yeah, it's British you do.
Yeah. That's a shame. It's got the standard weapon. All the weapons come back, which is kind of cool. Like the Ripper's pretty cool. It's like the triple machine gun type thing. RPGs and stuff, shrink rays, all that. But it's just, it's not. It loses a lot of charm. It'd be interesting to see how it goes. It's getting slated everywhere in reviews.
But it's selling.
But it is selling, more than Red Faction.
A lot more.
Which
like
is
I said last time, it was 10-1 and it was about 20-1.
It's criminal. It's absolutely
But
criminal.
that was the same for Infamous as well.
Yeah. Well, we will see. We will see how it goes, I suppose. I don't know if there's any DLC planned for it.
There is. Anyone that was first Access Club member gets the first one free, and it's just multiplayer maps. Which, again, no one's going to be playing it in a couple of months.
Yeah.
It's going to be dead.
Okay. All right. Well, on that bombshell, then we'll move on to E3 and have a look at what happened there. pretty good show, I thought, this year. No real huge surprises, but, still a lot of games shown, and the quality of games just seems to have gone up just dramatically this year. There is some really sharp-looking stuff happening. Before we then go we'll dive into each conference individually, but did you guys have anything really sort of stand out for you guys from the show?
Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon Future Soldier?
Yeah. It's mainly because of the Kinect, the way they used it was pretty decent.
Yeah, so that was at the Microsoft conference, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They showed a few different things. It was kind of weird. They showed the sort of gun shop stuff, which was very cool and kind of very Minority Report of just, breaking apart guns, putting them back together, getting a random gun, good old random gun. And that was kind of cool. It's still, I must admit, I watched that and I thought, I kind of like this. But also, you've got to think, well, it's just a longer, sort of more difficult processor that I could do with a D-pad, obviously, But the other thing they showed was the guy firing the gun and actually shooting in Ghost Recon with it when he was kind of hunched over with his elbow out and just sort of making star shapes, like squeezing a breast with his right hand to shoot, which I just don't get why they even did that. It's sort of like, does anyone want to play a game like that?
No.
It's kind of them just going, you could do this.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, don't want to, why? It's really uncomfortable and weird, not very accurate. Don't understand really any point of it. But that was part of Microsoft's big, hardcore Connect stuff, I suppose. But otherwise Ghost Recon looked quite good. 4-player co-op.
Yeah.
Which is madness, but it's first time for Ghost Recon.
Okay.
It's always been it was 2-player before. You had a separate squad guy dude each, but 4-player was cool. The demo was really good at the Ubisoft conference for that, but it did just look like I needed to be playing the game with 3 SWAT team members as opposed to the average snotty kid you get on Xbox Live. But they were really properly working as a team, and it really showed you that even though there's 4 of you and you're going off doing your own things, everyone's kind of having a significant experience in doing that. It wasn't like one dude's going to defuse the bomb and so the other 3 just kind of stood there like lemons. Like they were sneaking around in different areas, taking people down and stuff, and it just looked like a cool game for everyone. So that was quite cool. I was quite surprised by Future Soldier. I'm still hearing sort of iffy things about it, and it's been rebooted like maybe twice, I think.
Well, it was supposed to come out this year, like early this year, and then just kept getting pushed back, and now what is it now, March next year?
Yeah, it must be.
So it's literally been put back a whole year.
We'll see. It wasn't Rainbow Six, and it was actually what I wanted.
Next year.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll see. We will see. Is it still Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be madness for him to drop the Tom Clancy name, but just don't remember anyone sort of throwing around Tom Clancy anymore. But, well. What about you, Sean? What stood out for you?
I think the biggest thing that caught my eye was Anniversary, really.
Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's looks pretty good. You never really did. You went through the original Halo.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I did it on co-op. Friend.
Okay. Then, I mean, Halo Anniversary looks cool. So Saber Interactive developing it with obviously help from 343 Industries. It's a weird take on it that they've done. So it's core Halo. It's the original Halo game, and it's the exact original Halo game. It's the original game code running with a separate graphics engine on top to make it all snazzy and groovy. So it's the same base polygons, I suppose, and geometry of all the levels, just brought up to date. But it's quite cool. You can press on the back button. You can press the back button on the controller, and it'll switch back to the original Halo just on the fly.
Yeah.
I think at the moment it takes a couple of seconds to do, but the idea is that it will be instant.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy and really sort of... Everyone that's sort of seen it's come back going, yeah, man, that just reminds you how shit Halo looks now, Which is...
You would disagree with that.
I would disagree with that. I think Halo, for its design alone, is something that does age very well. But it'll be cool to have it in widescreen and, just sort of looking nice
shiny.
And fancy.
Yeah, shiny.
So obviously they're adding achievements to that. They'll flow it all into Waypoint, as with all the other games. And they're doing another sort of story beats to it, so they're adding terminals, which obviously we had in Halo 3.
Yeah.
They're adding those to the game so they can sort of seed other narrative story elements. Which apparently is both to explain stuff that happens in Halo 1, but also to kind of lay the groundwork for stuff in Halo 4 and in other areas of the universe. which is kind of cool. They've said these won't be like the terminals in 3 where they were just text and you just kind of read them. These will be like full on, FMV bits and stuff, and that that sounds alright. There's minor changes they've made to stuff as well. Nothing major. Obviously, everyone hates the kind of library levels in Halo because they're a bitch, to be perfectly frank. But they've not changed those as such, but they have, through the aesthetics on top, managed to sort of direct you a little bit easier through the environment so you can see more where you're going to go, and it shouldn't be such a painful experience as it was for lots of people. So that's quite cool. It's base Halo. And then on top of that, they're adding 7 multiplayer maps to Reach. Yeah. So there's been a lot of confusion, a lot of people thinking that this is Halo CE done in the Reach engine, and it's not. The Reach component is just the multiplayer. So similar to like ODST had Halo 3 multiplayer, this has Halo Reach multiplayer, but it doesn't have the whole lot. It just has the 7 maps from it. It doesn't have all the other Reach maps and the other map packs like ODST did. It's just the 7 maps. So it's 6 classic maps from Halo, 1's from Halo 2. We don't know what all of them are yet, it's not confirmed. And 1 firefight map.
Which you were saying is supposed to be something of epic proportions.
Yeah. They've just said that it's a well-known, awesome part of Halo, so it's probably like the beach fight battle that you get, or something like that, which would be really cool. So that'd be interesting. It comes with a code, so that if you already own Reach, you can download the maps to put them in there. Otherwise, it's on the disc and you've just got those. So that makes sense. I'm not too bummed out about that. A lot of people are going a bit nuts, going, well, they wanted the Halo 1 multiplayer because people went out of their way to try and get Halo 1 multiplayer online before using Xbox Connect and stuff like that, and it was cool, but that's not what they're doing here. Obviously, it's online co-op in the campaign. But just taking Halo 1's multiplayer and putting online, it isn't going to be Halo 1's multiplayer. It's not as simple. You've got to encounter for lag and all the netcode just changes the way it feels. So they decided not to do that and just make these Reach maps, which is kind of cool. I'd like more Reach maps.
Yeah, definitely.
They won't play the same, obviously, but that's all right. And I think the general consensus nowadays certainly should be the Reach is the best multiplayer experience you're going to get from that anyway. So,
definitely.
So that should be cool. All right, I think, for me, the other thing that really sort of stood out from E3 was probably the Far Cry 3 demo, which was awesome. It was clever what they did. It was interesting what they did. The focus on this main character, this crazy Vaz, I think his name is, but this crazy character that they focused on to the demo on is a clever move. After all the LA Noire stuff, I think they kind of knew they had a good performance down there from this guy. It's not up to LA Noire's animation standards, but it's well done and it's very well acted. And I think they were keen to sort of get that across. Also, completely late title card. Although you could guess it, they didn't go, and here's Far Cry 3. They did all this thing and at the end go, Far Cry 3. It looked cool. My only gripe with it, as we were saying earlier, was you're apparently just some dude who's crash landed on an island looking for your girlfriend. Yet he has phenomenal knife skills.
The stab to the neck from taking the guy's own knife, stabbing him in the throat, and then hitting some other guy 50 foot away in the head with the knife was.
Is it the same knife or is it a secondary knife? I don't even know if it's like.
I think he stabs him and then throws it.
That's pretty impressive. But apart from that, it looked like Far Cry. What was interesting was it looked like a return to original Far Cry rather than that dusty, arid, flaming Far Cry 2, that we had. So that's quite good. It's a welcome result. And since Crysis has kind of moved out of the jungle, it's kind of nice to get Far Cry back in the jungle. So that looked quite cool. All right, then. Well, let's have a look at the conferences themselves. Microsoft were obviously the first ones up, and I think they had a good showing. It was kind of weird. They were the only party really there that weren't showing a new piece of hardware. Sony had the Vita and Nintendo with their new console. So it looked like Microsoft had ground they needed to make up in that respect. But I think they did pretty well. They started off big heavy focus on Kinect, making good on most of the promises that they made at the previous E3 about having more games and hardcore stuff for them. And they opened up with they opened up the demo actually with Call of Duty. That was the first thing that came up. Modern Warfare 3 stage demo, which looked pretty awesome. To be fair, it looked like more of the same, but they dialed it up to 12 instead of 11. And that was cool. I'm alarmed at how much of that game seems to be an on-rails shooter, because there was just an awful lot of just holding onto a gun turret and shooting stuff, which seemed to be a major trend across the whole of E3. But a lot of almost every piece of gameplay that's come out from Modern Warfare 3 at some point has incorporated an on-rails portion, which, is...
Sucks.
Yeah, it does kind of suck. I mean, I suppose it's the easiest for that sort of game. If you want to just dial up stuff and make it more impactful and crazy, then you've kind of got to limit control. So that was interesting. But, it looked pretty cool. But then they went on, then they dove straight into their Kinect stuff, their hardcore stuff, and went into Mass Effect. Mass Effect 3, which I thought was quite cool. So the idea now is you can control the game with your voice. That was the most big thing for Kinect, certainly for the hardcore angle, was doing stuff with your voice. And in Mass Effect, the stuff they showed giving out orders and stuff, and that's fine. We've had that before in Clancy games, and it works okay. Voice stuff works okay. It's worked okay for years, and we know the Kinect stuff is good for that. But they showed the dialogue stuff. So instead of you get your dialogue tree coming up when you mean something, instead of you selecting the option, you read the option and then it says it, which was kind of cool, except for that one freaking problem that Mass Effect has, which is, so you're standing there in front of them, the line comes up and it says, I would like to go with you, and you say, I would like to go with you, and then instead of that being the line, then Shepard says a completely different line based on your line. It's like, well, then I'm just saying it's just wasting my time. And I know you can't have it so that people are just doing the talking because no one's going to act that much. But it's a weird experience. I don't know. I still thought it was cool, but that just seems odd. I've always had issue with the fact that the characters don't say what you want them to say.
Yeah. Well, you're telling them to say, basically.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Mass Effect anyway. But I would probably check that out. I don't know. What do you think, Sean? You play
I do play a lot of Mass Effect. Yeah, I'm looking forward to 3. I was concerned about how soon it was coming out after 2. I felt... And I'm glad to see it pushed back to next year, basically. I won't use Kinect stuff. It doesn't warrant using the Kinect stuff. I hardly ever use the team tactics anyway in Mass Effect. I usually just go in and shoot stuff.
But this is Mass Effect 3.
Yeah,
you might need to.
And the only things I do is kind of get people to use their powers, and that's as tactical as I get with it. I don't see myself saying Shepard's line to then have him say something, because I'll just tilt my analog stick to the line I want it to say. A lot of Kinect stuff that's added for kind of better with Kinect does seem very useless and just
frivolous.
Yeah, it's put in for the sake of it, to go, look, we've got hardcore games for you, and you don't really, do you, Microsoft?
You don't care.
but clearly they do, don't they?
No.
Why wouldn't they?
Because it's tacked on.
But why is that bad?
Because it's not.
And the hamburger.
No.
I don't want the hamburger's tacked on the side.
No, it's not.
No. That's a hamburger for you, man.
It's the chips are tacked on. Yeah, I'll be quite happy with the hamburger.
All right, okay. But what? No, but it just seems to just
the chips are all filler, my friend.
All right.
It's just slapped on the side, isn't it? It's kind of like the whole multiplayer aspect, because Mass 3 now has multiplayer, and it's an RPG.
But that seems like an insane reason to not have something. What if the multiplayer is the best thing you've ever experienced?
Then
But what if it is?
No, that'd be mind blowing. I'd be very happy. I'd stop playing Halo and I'd play Mass Effect multiplayer all the time.
That's probably what they're trying to do.
99% sure it's not going to be the case. It's probably going to deduct from the game because they're now spending time on multiplayer instead.
Yeah.
But we know. But can we say we don't know that?
No, it might be another team. It might be an entirely different team handling the multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's highly unlikely.
No, that's not unlikely now. Four teams worked on Duke Nukem.
No, it's simple. It's simply EA's policy, and they categorically said it that single player games are dead. Everything is going to have multiplayer.
Yeah. I mean, that is something that's echoed by a lot of people, though.
Dead Space, it was clearly tacked on. Everyone just said Dead Space's multiplayer is shit.
True, but it doesn't.
Assassin's Creed was reasonable.
I don't know
for about 3 days.
We lost anything from Dead Space 2 by having multiplayer. So why not have multiplayer if they want to do it?
Because you have to. There's give and take. There's always give and take.
There's not.
You don't get anything. You don't get anything for nothing, mate.
But it might have been a case of it. But it might have been a case of that higher up they went, right, no, cool, we're not green lighting that game unless it has multiplayer.
I'm sure there's a head of EA saying that, because then he can go, yeah, I want my £5.
Yeah.
Oh, you bought that second hand. I want that. I want that £5 off you.
But that's
it's
the way
like,
it is.
no, Mass Effect 2 was set up in a better way.
Yeah.
If you bought it new, you got free stuff.
All right, okay, hang on. So we're going into too many different things here. All right, we've gone from
E3
to multiplayer tagged on to DRM, and
but it's relative. It's relative.
So what I'm saying is that the multiplayer might be awesome.
Yeah, I'm not holding my
Might be
breath.
cool.
No.
All right, okay. We're not saying. Well, you know, I don't know what they've shown out. I'm not seeing any of it. I'm not.
No.
Mass Effect. It's too late for me for Mass Effect, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to start getting into it now.
It's never too late.
And from the changes that they've made in the series as they've gone along, it means they're just going back through that series. You go back to 1 now. You're not going to have a fun time.
Yeah, no. It was hard to go. 1 was hard anyway because it wasn't Knights of the Old Republic 3. It's that simple. They kind of set that up as a trilogy and then didn't finish it, and so you got 1 and it's all new aliens, it's all new galaxy.
So it's going on the Knights of the Old Republic. They you know, categorically said this week they've gone. You've asked us why we haven't made Knights of the Republic 3, and they're like, we have. We've made 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that's the new Knights of the Old Republic game.
But it's not, is it? Because you're not Jedi.
No,
I can't walk into a room.
World of Warcraft
and do
Star Wars.
Force Wave and
but
Force
it's
Storm.
World of Warcraft in Star Wars. That game,
Right? But that's not Star Wars, is it? That's,
no. But it is.
It's 2 combinations to come up with a bastard child.
Well, my point is, it's a Star Wars MMO. If it's in the style of World of Warcraft, then it's on to a winner, you know. And it's freaking Knights of the Old Republic.
Or what, you're referring to the Old Republic now?
Yes.
You're right, but I don't know. I don't have a PC capable of running that, so that's out the window. I'm a console games man.
All right, okay.
That's the only way you should play games, so far as I'm concerned, is on a console, because that's what they're built for.
Much like many gaming PCs.
Well, I don't own a gaming PC.
That's fine.
I own a work
cool.
PC.
All right, okay. Well, we probably shouldn't eradicate all those people that do want to play PC games just because you don't have a gaming PC.
I don't want to pay that much.
But you can sort of do not look at PC stuff and go, yeah, I want that. No. Why?
Because I'm not overwhelmed by graphics.
It's not about
it is.
No,
it's not. It boils down to 60 frames per second.
Witcher 2, awesome PC game.
Right, it's coming out on Xbox.
Yeah, no, so did you not look? Are you not happy about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
When I saw it as White Wolf, like whatever that was, like 2 years ago, when they said Witcher 2 is coming out on Xbox 360, I was like, that looks awesome.
Yeah. So why?
And it's still coming out on Xbox.
So why can't you look at PC games and go, that'd be brilliant? I wish that would come out on a console.
Yeah, I do. I wish Old Republic would come out on a console, but it's not going to. The only way I can play it is on a PC.
It might,
and I won't.
It might,
but you know why it won't.
Why?
Because it's an MMO.
Yeah.
If it's going to come out, it'll come out on a PlayStation.
No. That's not necessarily the case.
Is it not?
And why?
Is it not? What was the last MMO you played on a 360?
Final Fantasy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was
the last.
My point is that wasn't MMO on 360.
What happened to the Marvel game, Mike?
Yeah, it's not
Dead in the water.
But my point is, you can have MMOs on console.
Yeah, they said initially it was theorised that it would come out on 360. It's not going to happen.
It might do. Why not?
It's just not going to happen.
Why?
Because they don't. Because then you're paying double subscription.
Potentially at that model. It doesn't have to follow that model anymore.
But it probably will.
Well, all right. Well, anyway, the point is, it would be good if it did.
It'd be awesome.
It has possibility. All right, okay. Well, so what other Kinect stuff did they show? They showed obviously the Ghost Recon stuff that we talked about, which is kind of all again more voice chat stuff for it. Then sort of Microsoft took a weird turn with Kinect, and they kind of. I mean, I think their overall message was they were going for this "we've got something for everyone" sort of thing, and I think they kind of nailed that pretty well. The middle sort of wave of Kinect was, again, they brought out the kids, the overacting kids, to kind of hug Mickey Mouse and pretend they're doing stuff. Reach for the coins! And, things like that, and high-fiving and stuff, fist pumps, and, it's fine. People like kids. Kids' games are fine, that's alright, but these sickening acting children and fake families that they bring out, it's just bad. So in that segment they showed Once Upon a Monster, which is the Sesame Street game by Double Fine, and Tim Schafer came out to talk about that. that looks alright. I kind of really like the idea of that. We won't spend a lot of time on the kids' games, but that was a cool game because that was a game designed for kids and parents to play together, which is kind of a nice way of doing it. You know, so it was designed in a manner where it's not supposed to get mind-numbingly boring doing the same thing over and over and over and over again as a child would make you do.
Yeah.
And they announced their Disneyland game as well, which we don't know much about, I suppose. So that was kind of okay. And then they moved into that just sort of shovelware Connect area now, which was like the third segment of Connect was like these are just bad Connect games. And one of those games, shockingly, was Fable: The Journey, which was just
It's not on the rails.
man, it was just an on-rails Fable game that at first looked like Final Furlong as you're pretending to sit there holding the reins of this car, and then later sort of deteriorates into the bad, better with Connect moments of the last Harry Potter game.
Yeah.
Standing in the field, fighting hobs.
Yeah, it didn't look good. And I mean, since then, obviously, Peter Molyneux's come out and gone, it's not on rails, and it's just bleating to everyone, it's not on rails, it's not on rails. It's like,
It looks
so
like
on
it's on
rails.
rails, yeah.
Well, the press said it was on the rails.
Yeah, well,
After
apparently
he
did
insisted
that weird thing where in the demos behind closed doors, he'd written on the whiteboard, it's not on rails, and then said that every time he mentioned it's not on rails, he was going to put a mark underneath the statement of it's not on rails, and then at the end get people to sign it.
He's just
It's like,
crazy.
he just meant.
He is. He's crazy. He's lost the plot.
It's really at this point, can you trust anything that comes out of the man's mouth?
Well, you know, it's always kind of been that way, isn't it? It just seems like the distance of time
Since black and
from
white,
when
really,
the
it's
amount-
all gone downhill.
It just
from
seems
Morley.
like the amount of time between him saying something and apologising for it is now way shorter. So this is almost like immediately after the demo, he went, "I'm really sorry." Like next year, he'll be up on stage apologising because he's making the announcement.
It'll be before he's made the statements.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for everything I'm about to say. None of it's true.
So I don't know. I mean, it remains to be seen, I suppose, what that is. But it didn't look particularly exciting in any way.
I think it's on
No,
rails.
it's going to be poor.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else this show.
Rise looked quite. It looked relatively interesting.
The
Roman
Centurion, Forgotten
Centurion
Kingdoms, or what it was from last time. The Crytek
Yeah.
game. Yeah, they're saying it's a cinematic Connect experience. You know, I'll tell you what. I was at that point when I was watching that, and I just thought, man, Connect, like initial press conference, and they're starting to say, don't move at all, just talk. You know, relax, lazy Connect people. And then Rise comes on. It's like this game wants me to do cartwheels. You know, like I'm sorry. You know, it's like this dude's like getting his leg above his head and stuff. It's like, fucking hell. It might be all right.
It seems kicking seems to be quite a running
Yeah,
theme.
there was quite-
Star Wars has the
So
kicking.
Star Wars, I
aspect
was
to it
just
as
about to
well.
move on. That was the other shit Connect.
It looks
game.
really, it looks shocking.
Lightsaber on. Like the guy says. This is the other interesting. The guy when he first comes out, and the dude who just sells it so much. But the first thing he says is lightsaber on. And it's since come out, the terminal reality making the game like backstage going, what the fuck's he just said lightsaber on for? Like, you don't have to say lightsaber on. Now everyone thinks you have to say lightsaber on. Like there's just some really over enthusiastic actor on stage that went, you know what, I'm well into this, lightsaber on. And it just, like, can you imagine just watching that going, fuck, get him off.
That's the first thing he said.
Yeah, exactly.
He blew it.
His only line.
Everyone
His only
there.
line. And it wants one he wasn't even supposed to have. You know.
Improv.
It looked poor, didn't it? Didn't it,
It
look
does.
bad?
It does look graphically. It looks shocking. It looked wonky.
And considering they announced it way back last
It was
week,
last D3
and
last
they
year.
announced it as one of the hardcore games. It looked like one of the most casual ones. It looked like a kids' game. It was again on rails, just flare like Infinity Blade almost.
Yeah.
But it's just no, didn't.
I'd like to see Infinity Blade Connect. I'd prefer to see
But
that.
Infinity Blade started off as a Connect game.
They need it. They need something.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly taken with that, which is a shame. I mean, other stuff they added, I guess, for Connect, they got voice search for Xbox Live, which is quite cool. You know, it's handy. In conjunction with Bing that they're bringing to it, so you can go Xbox Bing Holly Valance, and it will go, did you say Xbox Bing rapist? No, I don't know. But it was quite good to be able to search content that way. I mean, there was a whole new Xbox experience, wasn't there? New dashboard that they kind of showed off. not any sort of real major changes, but
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube finally coming, which is that's quite cool.
Yeah, be good.
They've toned down the brightness, really. Yeah, because there was loads of complaints when they did the new one that it was too bright. So people would be sat there playing Gears of War for like 4 hours, and then they'd come out into the dashboard and just have their retinas burn off. So they toned that down.
PayPal.
Obviously PayPal that's in there. It just kind of seemed alright.
Well, PayPal's in now, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's up
available
and
now.
running.
Yeah. Oh, so that was the other Connect stuff actually that they said, because you just reminded me of Connect Fun Labs, which they announced.
Yeah.
And didn't just announce; they released it there and then.
Yeah.
So it's
I
available
have
now.
downloaded it. I haven't actually played it. I've tried to play it, and it's weird. I took the hard drive off of the Xbox in my games room, stuck it on the one in the front room where the Kinect is attached to because there's more space, and just couldn't find it on the hard drive at all.
Oh dear.
So I'm going to move the Kinect into the other room. So I might be able to talk about that on the next podcast.
It's worth giving it a go, because the demo was pretty cool. For it had a guy sort of like. So they're using all the finger stuff now. You can take your fingers, and they had a guy take a photo of himself and then take another photo of himself, and then kind of overlay those images, and then with his fingers was able to draw lines on the screen. But because it was Kinect, obviously he can do depth, so he was sort of drawing round the images of himself, which was kind of cool. And the idea of Fun Labs is it's all those cool hacks and mods that you've seen on the internet,
indie stuff,
the PC stuff that people have been doing, and it's just kind of that, just as is, just out there, and that's it's a nice little touch.
Yeah.
They also showed the Forza stuff as well, Forza Connect, which was pretty cool, head tracking stuff, and looking around in cars and things. Yeah, I mean, I think they're doing the right thing. We're just going better with Connect. I think that's kind of a good way of selling it. They're not going, these games need Connect or anything. They're just going, look, there's something else extra here that you can do, and it's fair enough. It's not jacking the prices up seemingly on these games, which is good.
There's also you can use your Forza Free profile, which is awesome. Because I've got loads of money, loads of cars.
Oh, so it carries over your stuff?
Yeah, it carries over straight away.
That's quite cool.
Also, Jeremy Clarkson being added, which could be a massive
doesn't he do commentary over the vehicles?
Yeah, but apparently it's uncensored as well, so it depends how brutally honest he could be.
I think that's one of the things we've noticed actually since Top Gear sort of broke America. Top Gear and Top Gear Test Track and stuff, and all of that seems to be in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen the Stig in ads for Forza, and obviously it was in GT5 as well.
Did DLC for free with the Stig.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So it seems to be. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. It's tapping into another market. My dad's going to buy it because he's a Top Gear fan, and I kind of want that. It's kind of a thing that seems to make sense. Presumably the BBC are getting some money out of it as well. So
No doubt.
That seemed alright. I mean, beyond that, then not Connect stuff. They showed Gears of War 3. Cliffy B and Ice-T came out to play that, which is kind of freaking crazy. In fact, Ice-T at the Gears of War party later that night, they reformed Body Count and played a gig, which is just kind of insane, just like absolutely mind-blowing. I think Sony had like Jane's Addiction playing at theirs, but yeah, Gears 3 look kind of cool. Don't give a damn about Marcus's father, as we've said before, but it looked pretty good. It's got mechs in it, and mechs are pretty cool. So yeah, more of the same as far as I'm concerned.
Again, though, they showed a lot of on-the-rail shooting bits in their trailers.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and Mass Effect 3 had an on-rail shooting bit.
Yeah.
Man, so like Fable, Mass Effect, Gears of War,
COD.
It's worrying.
It's a lot. It's a lot of on-rail stuff. Gears looks right. They unveiled like Horde Mode 2.0. I didn't find out any details about it, but everyone's going nuts, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty much same thing, but it has got boss battles this time,
Okay.
which would be quite cool. Obviously, you earn money instead of XP, so you can buy better weapons. But I mean, it should be good. I mean, I've gone back to Gears 2, playing Horde recently, and it's still awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a big game.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
We'll all buy it. We'll all play it,
And
regardless.
the new
of,
console, obviously announced with it.
it looks quite sexy.
It is,
A 320 gig hard drive.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of space. Gears looked alright. What else did they show then? So obviously, no Alan Wake.
No
Alan Wake, and Microsoft have recently said, Alan Wake didn't do as well as we wanted it to, and Remedy's latest game has not got a publisher.
Nice.
It's to go. Definitely not us publishing it.
What was Remedy's latest game?
Well, that's the thing. They said
Nobody knows.
they said more Alan Wake coming, not Alan Wake
Yeah.
2 and not DLC.
And then the Connect
You
thing
know?
came up that I previously
Yeah, we
played.
thought maybe Kinect, but it could be anything. It could be an iPhone game for all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite easily.
You know, they've recently done Death Rally on iPhone as well, which was alright. But it's funny, Microsoft just went, no publisher, not us. So that was kind of a weird omission from the conference, I
It's
suppose.
sad though.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Alan Wake.
I mean, other strange stuff that Microsoft didn't mention in their conference, there was the stuff they didn't say as well that was kind of interesting. They've got cloud support coming to save some profiles, which is quite cool, but they didn't mention any of that in the actual conference. And they ended with, obviously, Halo 4, which was pretty cool. Shame the entire sort of surprise of that unveiling was ruined like 4 hours before when the website leaked online just saying Halo 4, which kind of sucks, but it was cool. It just showed a nice little teaser.
But then you were saying Channel 4 had
They had a massive cock up.
leaked Halo
Pretty
4.
much, they did
months
a
before.
Connect demonstration.
Oh no, yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
this,
on
but
the
wasn't that? I
dashboard.
don't think. Well, I thought that was Halo 5, not even Halo 4. It had like the old Microsoft. It had loads of logos. It had Project Gotham on there.
Yeah, it
And
had
then-
Project
I'm
but
pretty
that's
sure it's
dead.
Halo 5.
Surely that's dead in the water now.
But yeah, I think none of those were real. I think
Yeah.
they were just kind of placed out of like someone designer needs to put a thing in there.
Having a
But yeah, I
laugh.
remember, I do
Having a
remember
laugh.
seeing that. Yeah, it was like a Microsoft Technologies showcase. They had
Yeah.
the room full of Connect and Surface sort
Yeah.
of stuff. Yeah. So the Halo 4 leak, well, I mean, obviously, you know, it was always going to happen, but I don't think anyone was really necessarily expecting an announcement now. Microsoft tend to focus on games that are coming out that year rather than stuff that's
Yeah.
coming out way ahead in the future. So it was a bit of a surprise. Aside from that, the trailer was awesome. The little teaser was cool. It was done by the Tron Legacy guy,
Yeah, you said.
which was kind of cool, and literally followed on directly from the legendary ending of Halo 3. You know, you had Chief and Cortana in their half a spaceship flying towards some big, giant, shieldy electronic Forerunner mass thing. Cool. Not really a lot to say about that, really.
Nice.
What was interesting was they said a brand new trilogy. Starting with Halo 4. So
Yeah.
essentially they announced 4, 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Bit weird, there's been a bit of confusion over that because I think it was Don Matrick who said it, but he said a brand new trilogy for the 360.
Yeah.
And no chance. Absolutely no freaking chance. Like Halo 4, 360, 5 and 6, that's not coming out on that console, surely, you know?
Not if 4's next year.
Yeah,
Because it's not this
Yeah.
year. It's next.
No,
it's like
hol-
next November.
It's holiday next year, yeah. So yeah, it's good. They've got to be looking at further games on the next console after that. But that's fine. You know, what is there to say? It looks pretty cool. Are we up for more Halo,
Defo.
Oh hell yeah!
even without Bungie?
I'm confident. A lot of 343 is made up of old Bungie stuff, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
As
I
well
mean,
as
it's-
Assemble.
I think that's it. Yeah, you've got the ensemble staff, you've got Bungie, you've got there's a great core team of talent at 343, and on top of that, there's a lot of passion from guys. There's a lot of fans of Halo that are there. The whole thing's led up by Frank O'Connor, who's been involved with Halo for years now.
I'm confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be interesting to see how they go because obviously they can do whatever they want with it now. They can take it in completely different directions.
Yeah.
And in many ways it kind of has to. Judging from that teaser, you know, the Master Chief and Cortana are miles away from everything else. It's not unrealistic to think that there might not be a single human being in the next game, you know, unless they return somewhere. But it could go anyway. It's a shame not to have Marty O'Donnell working on them to do the music because that's a big deal for Halo. But you know, the Halo Wars had some good music in it and stuff. They can handle that, I think.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And they're a studio focused entirely on that one franchise and not just games. We're talking games, comics,
Yeah.
Waypoint, everything. You know, it's going to be everywhere. So it could be really interesting. It's funny that it's another trilogy. You know, they've obviously got a story in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll see, you know. I don't know. I didn't like the logo. So the logo was really weird, that sort of angular sort of... I didn't really like that. But there you go. So, that was about Microsoft. Does anyone else have anything else to add about Microsoft?
They didn't, like we was expecting, Exodus wasn't mentioned, Gears of War.
Oh, so this rumoured Gears of War Connect thing.
On the rails again.
On rails, through there, of course. Yeah, no, nothing on that.
That did go quiet.
Makes you wonder if it's part of Gears 3.
Yeah,
And it's just held it back, haven't said anything yet.
maybe that's what the on the rails bit was.
I read an
Oh no,
interview.
Cliff categorically said no Connect, doesn't it? Yeah, alright. Yeah, well, maybe it just doesn't exist. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
You know, rumours don't always come true.
No.
They bought the name though. They bought the website. Or it could be something like Waypoint.
Yeah.
You don't know. They could have their own little system like Waypoint, which wouldn't be a bad
Or Call of
thing.
Duty Elite, that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
exactly. It could be something like that, which wouldn't be a bad thing.
Would it not?
No. Daily
Alright.
challenges, awesome.
Daily challenges. Alright, well that's Microsoft done then. I think after that we're going to take a short break, collect ourselves and then come back in with some Sony talk. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Alright.
Alright, see you in 2 minutes. Welcome back to part 2 of our awesome E3 special, the Electronic 3. We're going to talk about the Sony conference now. Obviously, we knew they were going to show more of the MGP, the PlayStation Portable 2, or now, as we know, the PlayStation Vita.
PSV.
Actually, let's just talk about that for a little bit. What do we think about the name? Names are going to come up a little bit.
It's a bit crap, isn't it?
Yeah, PlayStation Vita, it's kind of... You know, what is it? Is that a mobile phone?
It's
is it
more
some sort
in the
of service?
kind of Vio area, sort of like the laptop
It almost
sort
is,
of
isn't
name.
it? Sort of like, but less. Even Vio has sort of a cool, almost a mysterious cool to it. Whereas Vita sounds like
PSP.
It sounds like ladies' medicine.
Or Vita.
You know, it sounds like ladies' toiletries or something. You know,
maybe.
like for when you just can't go and need that little push. Try PlayStation Vita. You know, or something like that. But yeah, the names don't really matter. We live in a world now where naming stuff does not matter. You know, the Wii's come out.
Anything goes.
You know,
Anything goes.
In a week, 2 weeks' time, we'll be saying PS Vita without
Thinking about it, yeah.
So we'll get to that in a minute. Sony opened up, first of all, actually, with an apology. They, obviously, the PlayStation Network outage, they kind of came out, and Jack Tratton came up, and he was like... First of all, he made sort of like a dodgy joke, which wasn't too dodgy. We knew that no one could make any jokes about it, but he still made a joke. He said that everyone loves, journalists love chaos and headlines and controversy and stuff like that. And he went, so, you're welcome. And I just kind of thought, no, don't do that. Sony press conferences, the way they always go, they always feel the kind of same. They feel dark and gloomy and just stern, a bit like Darth Vader's just walked in the room. That's kind of how
They
look.
are,
It's really dark
surely
with
they
red
are.
lights.
They are
you
the
know?
Darth Vader of gaming.
Yeah, and it's just they're always a bit like
Everything's
that.
in black plastic.
So they start off with an apology, which is fine. They had to do it, and they really went for it. Actually, they really kind of went, like, "This is not good enough," and yada yada. And so that was okay. They got that out of the way. Then they went straight into Uncharted 3. Uncharted 3 looked freaking phenomenal. It was kind of always gonna. It's you're hard pressed to find a more flashy cinematic game than the Uncharted games now, and 3 was no sort of change to that. Wicked water. There was some amazing water effects in it, which was kind of cool. But ultimately, more of the same. Unlucky guy gets involved in unlucky situations. We missed something out on the Microsoft conference that we're going to just slot straight in here with a brilliant segue. Tomb Raider, just quickly.
Oh, yes.
That was one of Microsoft's big things. A lot of people really going down as staying as sort of game of the show. It looked really, really good. I don't think it looked Uncharted levels of good, but that game looked really, really polished. Reboot, reinvention of Lara, 21 years old, everything goes wrong. And the difference between that and Uncharted was, in Uncharted, it's humour. At the end of the day, Uncharted, all this bad stuff's happened to Nathan. He's like, oh, damn, that was pretty close, and I can't believe this has happened to me, and wrong time, wrong place. And it's like, that's all right. But with Lara, it was just her constantly crying out in agony as bad stuff happened. It was like torture porn. It was this really sort of weird, there's this young 21-year-old girl pulling bits of stone and stuff out of her insides and making tourniquets out of her shirt and stuff. It's just like, this is quite harsh what she goes through. She goes through a real beating. So that looked pretty good. Do you guys have any thoughts on either? I don't know whether you stand on Tomb Raider and Uncharted, since they are now seemingly blurring the lines between the two.
Yeah, I dislike both. To be fair, I haven't really given Uncharted a chance. I've played briefly on both 1 and 2, and it didn't grab me. It might be the interface, the control system that's on a PlayStation is always a bit alien.
I mean, it's much better into. I mean, 1 is definitely something that's harder to go back to now, but 2 is definitely a lot better. I understand what you mean about the control interface. It's doing a lot of stuff. That's the thing. It's doing that explorative, climbing around Tomb Raider like gameplay. And then it's also trying to be quite a solid shooter underneath that. Story and presentation-wise, they're kind of cool. Uncharted feels like the one series where you can get away with the least innovation going forwards because it is so much like a movie.
Yeah.
It's just like seeing another movie, But it's one action movie from another action movie.
I think my main problem with both of them is that the whole Indiana Jones thing doesn't appeal to me. The kind of archaeology, kind of running around jungles.
Every kid wants to go on an adventure.
Yeah, but that's not the adventure I want to go on.
You want to be to space.
Yeah, pretty much. I am a sci-fi geek.
Right.
That's what it boils down to.
That's fine. So Uncharted, it looked good. I mean, for all I would say, that it needs no innovation. They're pushing stuff out with the multiplayer. And that looks kind of cool.
The stuff we've mentioned previous in previous podcasts. Yeah, the multiplayer does sound awesome, and it's something that I'm quite keen to see more of.
Okay. Well, so then after that, Sony went straight from Uncharted, easily the best thing at their keynote, and straight into Resistance 3 for quite possibly the ropiest demo I've ever seen. It just was really confusing, looked kind of rough. And just looked like chaos. It was just going straight. And Resistance always gets a bad deal.
Yeah,
it's always playing second fiddle to Killzone. If Sony have to put their hands up and go, which is our shooter that we really back, it's Killzone, not Resistance. And Resistance started nicely. The first game was kind of cool, set over here, and had sort of a nice angle to it of being in like Bath and around the area and all this other stuff. And then 2, really sort of let people down. And 3 just kind of looks even worse. It does lead me to my other point, though, of it's now okay for you to totally shoot the shit out of New York City. Like, it's now there's 10 years post 9/11. Every game seems to be set in New York City, blowing it up. We've had Crisis and Modern Warfare and Resistance, and it just totally seems alright.
My problem with a lot of video games is they're set in New York. It's like, Jesus, not another game set in New York again?
Yeah.
There's a lot of cities in the world.
Yeah.
Share the wealth.
I suppose it's just that iconic.
Yeah, there's other places are iconic.
American cities, New York in particular, a really good example for easy game design in that it's all grid based.
Yeah, sure.
So, and I suppose there's what you're going for is.
But that's kind of why this may be the first Call of Duty that I ever pick up, because it's not in New York. I mean, the others weren't in New York. I know, but the fact it's set in London, it's set in Paris, it's set in whatever city is in Germany. That has a lot more appeal to me than kind of Viet Cong jungle, or which a lot of games are set in the Viet Cong jungle.
You just don't like going outside. So you're like
agoraphobic.
There's bugs and bugs.
I'm not fond of bugs, I must admit.
Unbelievable. So Resistance, not all that. I don't know, Cat. I'm going. Is that okay for me to call you Cat? Sometimes I call you Cat.
That's
just
fine.
like
Kitty Cat.
Johnny John John.
Private joke.
Yes.
So Resistance. How do you feel about Resistance?
I hated all of them. I genuinely did. I felt like they always felt old, even when they first came out. They just felt old. They felt just clunky. None of the guns felt satisfying.
Yeah, the whole thing's a bit.
Yeah,
tame.
it's just ropey
Okay.
all the way through.
And the only good thing about Resistance 3, which I will say actually, is their box art, where they've used Dolly Moss's artwork for it.
Oh yeah, you do
love her
love
name, Ollie Moss.
you do love his stuff, don't you?
Yeah, it's a really cool box art. It's really different to what you'd normally see.
Yeah, give it that.
But that ain't enough to save the game. So yeah, moving on from that, then what was really odd about Sony was such a heavy focus on Move. You know, Move, not the runaway success that Kinect was. You know, arguably hasn't done particularly well at all. You could almost expect Sony to gloss over it and not mention it ever again.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They
Which
went
was
the other way.
what I was half expecting them to do,
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
fair.
Well, yeah, exactly. But instead, well, we thought Microsoft did quite a lot with Kinect. Sony did double that with Move, and it all was kind of the same stuff. We've seen again and again and again, and similar stuff to what you get on the Wii. Nothing about that makes me want to use a Move. Really underwhelmed by it.
From what I understand, and I can't say I've tried it, it's certain first-person shooters work really well. MAG is supposed to be.
Well, that's the
If you put in a bit of time with it, get used to it. MAG, you're supposed to dominate quite easily.
But I think that's the thing. It's like for competitive shooters and stuff like that. It's all about people wanting to be better and better and better and faster and more accurate and stuff like that. And I just don't think the masses give a damn about Move for that sort of thing. You know, they're not going to stay away from their controllers to do that. So I don't get Move. And, it doesn't help that Sony that really confusing thing of what do I have to buy? How do I buy it? How much is it going to cost me?
But no, the thing that put me off Move, which was before it even came out, I went to Eurogamer last year. There were people demoing it, which is fine, but it kept freezing. Every console was freezing. This poor little kid literally queued up for half an hour, started playing, literally shot one thing, then it froze. And then the reps just sort of tried to gloss it over and went, yeah.
Yeah, I think arguably the worst thing about Move for me is the Cliff Richard song "Move It"
and its existence.
And its existence. So that was Move. Yeah, whatever. What else did Sony have? New Sly Cooper game.
Right.
Been pretty cool. Sly Cooper was good. Infamous has gone down really well. They're just other Sly Cooper games essentially.
Right.
So new one. Yeah. All right. Thanks very much.
Was there a new Ratchet and Clank?
I don't think.
No, which is a little bit of a shock because that sort of comes out all the time.
And then obviously they Vita. They showed PlayStation Vita, and damn, that looks good. It's weird. I don't know who it's for or what purpose it serves.
Neither does Sony. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Well, the whole thing, because Sony are really good at making pieces of kit that make you want to buy them. They look flash, they look expensive, they look like you kind of need one. Same with the PSP, same with the PlayStation 3, and PSV is no different. It's Minidisc and Walkman all over again. It just looks like a cool piece of kit. But the whole thing looks like it's been designed by committee to some degree and just gone, well, we need a touchscreen on there, and we need 2 analog sticks here, and a D-pad here, and shoulder buttons there, and then, another touchscreen on the back, and a gyroscope, and it needs to have Wi-Fi, and 3G, and it's like, what it's, the only thing it's missing is 3D. But it just looks, it's kind of mental. It looks like the sort of thing that's really difficult to hold, because no matter what you're touching, you're affecting control in some way, the whole thing is a button. But it looks nice. The problem I have with it more than anything is that, people spend loads of money on getting big TVs and big speakers and awesome sound setups to play these big budget, amazing games. Uncharted, a good example, in their home on the big screen, and to suddenly be doing that on this much smaller screen, that same experience is kind of, I don't want to be in the middle of a really important cutscene and I'm on the bus with headphones in. That's not how I want to play that game. So I don't know how that
And plus,
fits.
those games aren't constructed and designed and meant to be played on a handheld. They're the way that the levels, the length of level, and the kind of length of cutscene and how involved the story is.
It looks like a handheld system that's not meant to be played outside. It's supposed to be played on your couch as you would play your PS3, and that's weird.
And if it's playing your PS3 game, why not just play it on your PS3?
Yeah. And the changes they've made. Uncharted is a good example. They show how that works on there, and they've got it's fun to be sneaking around killing guys, but it's even more fun to tap the bad guy to take out a stealth kill. And it's like, really? I want to just tap the screen to do that? It seems terrible. But then other stuff was really cool. The Mod Nation races, The way you edit tracks is kind of nice. If you want to raise the ground, you touch the touchpad from the bottom, and if you want to lower it, you press it from the top. There's nice mechanics in that. And Little Big Planet had good things in that as well. So it's kind of cool. I'm more interested in the back touchpad than I am anything. It's still kind of a whole sort of like tickling the balls sort of way of playing a game, you know. But that's interesting. You know, the iPhone. One of its biggest problems with touching the screen is you're putting your hands on the, you know, like my hand is in the screen. I can't see anything. So this eradicates that, which is kind of cool. 2 models of PS Vita, a Wi-Fi model and a 3G model. Prices they announced in dollars, obviously, were $299 and $249 respectively. Good price. That, I mean, it's still a lot of money, but there were people initially thinking it was going to be maybe double that.
Yeah,
you know?
I was from the amount of crap they've crammed into it. I was expecting closer to 3-4.
Yeah, exactly. And this immediately makes the 3DS look really, really overpriced.
The 3DS is dropping rapidly.
Because you look at those two games in the way that Nintendo can only show 3DS games in 2D easily. You know? You look at those games next to PlayStation Vita games, and it's just like no chance. You know, no contest. So yeah, the price is aggressive. Interestingly, the worst received announcement of the entire show, because this was their big ending, was the price, and that went down really well. But then they went, obviously, this 3G model. They got to partner with someone for it, and they announced that they partnered with AT&T in the States, and the entire audience just kind of went, you know, AT&T just not being popular at all out there for their level of service. So that was like, oh no. What that means over here,
more internet-based shenanigans for some.
Yeah, I mean, what that means over here is interesting. AT&T own T-Mobile, so maybe that means they'll go with
T-Mobile
them.
in the UK.
It depends what the agreement is. Maybe there'll be multiple plans that you can go with or stuff.
The T-Mobile is actually part of Orange now.
So they've. I don't know if have they merged or something.
Yeah, they've merged. So T-Mobile ones are now Orange only. So they've got a bigger scope.
I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting. It's not. I mean, what they didn't talk about is exactly how that plan works. It's not like it's $299 and then you get 3G for free.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like the Kindle model or anything like that. You're looking at another paid service on top coming from, in the States, AT&T. So it could be quite pricey. And I don't know really what you're using the 3G for. It's not like you're going to be downloading games over that. It's mainly probably just syncing achievements and
web browser.
Yeah, and you know, basic web stuff, I suppose. It's interesting. I'll maybe get one, but certainly wouldn't get the 3G model. Just the Wi-Fi for me, I think. But I don't know, handhelds are so strange. 3DS, like we said, it's not doing that well. It's had some good games announced for it, which we'll get on to.
To be fair, it's summer. Christmas is where you're going to see whether it performs on.
Yeah, true. But
I think it's going to perform.
You'd hope so. But then this is the other thing: is PlayStation Vita's coming out this holiday for Christmas.
It doesn't matter. It's the market. The people with the disposable cash are the people that have no cash at all. Kids, kids that badger their parents, and they might want a Vita. But everybody else is going to have a 3DS, so that's... And is
everyone else going to have a 3DS? Do we see that? Because we're not seeing the uptake for 3DS that we should. So not everyone else has got one. And then, kids want whatever.
But by Christmas, 3DSs are going to be like $150.
No, are they?
Well, then what
they're like they're $190 now, man.
But they won't be. They're not. I don't think.
And they're not performing up until Christmas.
So if Nintendo drop the price, that's the only way I reckon they've got a fighting chance of doing anything. I think both don't stand much of a chance. If kids want something, a kid's not going to be swayed by going, I want all my older brothers playing on his PS3. I want that on a system that does all this cool stuff that they want. They can get Call of Duty on it, you know. And the parents, as far as parents are concerned, it's $100 cheaper, you know. And it's like, well, yeah, I'll have that. I'm going stateside prices.
That's good.
But you know, it's still going to be the cheaper one of the two. I just don't think it's in the bag for Nintendo. There's not enough already calling out for people to buy it. The games just aren't there.
I think the difference is that me and Sean work with all the consoles day in, day out. We know what sells well, and at the end of the day, DSs sell well.
But no one's questioned that. You're right. DSs sell well. As of yet, the 3DS has not.
Like you said, Christmas, it will destroy.
All right. Well,
Christmas will tell. Christmas will see who comes out on top.
And I think a lot of that's going to depend on... I think if Nintendo do a price drop, then that'd be really smart for them.
The thing is, Nintendo's going to have a lot more games on the shelf than Sony will by Christmas.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, well, true.
and that's going to include Zelda.
But it's
That's
what
going
those
to
games
include
are.
Star Fox.
Yeah.
That's going to include.
But Star Fox,
there's a lot
again,
of stuff.
though, I don't think it will appeal to the new generation. I think that's the game for us.
It is, but once if you've got one on display with Star Fox in it, kids are going to be like, Star Fox rocks.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, with that, then let's move into Nintendo, because obviously they came up last, and they started off with a lot of 3DS stuff. Being Star Fox being one of them, new Mario Kart.
Yep.
Which everyone's going nuts for. I'm so beyond Mario Kart now that I can't go back to it.
I'm quite enjoying it on the Wii. Me and my little girl are playing it on the Wii at the moment.
Yeah, I mean,
And I came late to the party. I didn't run out and buy it when it was like 40 quid.
Yeah, it's
I've
certainly
got
a
a
good
cheap
game. I
copy.
just don't see it anymore. And this kind of like more of the same. They've added sort of like flying sections and underwater sections to it.
Right.
It's not quite like Diddy Kong Racing or anything like that, but just like your cart automatically transforms into
A submarine sort of thing. So, okay.
you know, all right, I suppose. Star Fox.
Mario Kart doesn't excite I think anyone of our generation anymore.
No.
I think everyone looks back at Super Nintendo and goes, it's not the Super Nintendo version,
definitely.
regardless of how many times they try and rehash the tracks.
I'm not sure how many of those people are still looking for it anyway.
No.
If they've either adopted the new one or it's a new user base.
Yeah.
Star Fox looks cool. They did show one awesome feature for Star Fox. I'm dying for some more Star Fox because it was wicked. It's Star Fox 64, isn't it? As
It
well,
is,
I didn't
yeah.
realise it
Yeah.
actually is. It's actually called Star Fox 64 3D.
From what the rep was saying, Captain N, as I've dubbed him,
Right.
he's saying it's not a port. It's a rebuild.
Yeah. But it's essentially that
Yeah,
game.
yeah. Same as Zelda.
But what was interesting about it, which the new thing that they showed was the little talking faces where they go
Yep.
and do a barrel roll and all this sort of stuff. When you shoot someone or you take them down, it records the face of that person from the camera, and they show up in the little boxes.
Oh, right.
Which is quite cool. So it has like the little things for your actual friends, which it's an awesome little feature. They showed some Luigi's Mansion, Luigi's Mansion 2. Which is wicked. It got a really good reaction from the crowd. But it's like a lot of people just don't remember Luigi. It's like, hang on,
it's a
like,
long time.
none of you guys really cared about Luigi's Mansion when it came out. That game didn't do great.
I think the problem with Luigi's Mansion when it came out is it wasn't a Mario game.
Yeah, it was.
If it come
launch
out,
title.
if they brought Mario and then they kind of brought out Luigi's Mansion, I think it would have been received
It
better.
fundamentally wasn't a great game either. That
No,
was
it was
I
pretty poor. I
loved
didn't like
it,
it.
and I'm really looking forward to Luigi's Mansion 2. But Luigi's Mansion wasn't that great. You didn't
No.
do that much. But it was kind of nice. The aesthetic was cool. The ghosts looked kind of wicked, and
I'm sure in 3D it looks very pretty.
yeah, I think it'd be quite good. It's an interesting one for them to bring back. Anyway.
Yeah, certainly.
They showed some of the Kid Icarus game multiplayer.
I've played single player of Kid Icarus.
Right,
Played
okay.
it.
They unveiled the multiplayer, but Kid Icarus Uprising or something. Like
Yeah.
that, E3, which looked pretty hardcore. It looked like almost like a virtual on sort of thing. It was
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
it's a weird game. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. The section I played was on the rails.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, it has to be. But yeah, that seems pretty cool. I'm not into Kid Icarus at all, but that seems like a very hardcore game. It seems more I see of it. It's got more sort of Devil May Cry-ish sort of virtual on-ish moments. It all seems like it's taking elements from very, very hardcore games and putting them into this Kid Icarus thing. So we'll see. I kind of don't really remember any Wii stuff from the Nintendo conference, but they did obviously go straight on to their new console, which was possibly shown and demoed and announced in the most confusing way anything's ever been announced ever. And for hours afterwards, people were just going, "Wait, is this a console?" And that's kind of the one thing you wouldn't want people to be saying after you've just announced your new console.
Yeah.
But they announced it anyway. The Wii U. So going on into the history of great names this year, the Wii U.
And that's definitely confirmed. That's not working title.
That's it. That's the name of their
Right.
console. So what they focused on was this controller. There have been a lot of rumours about it before. We spoke about it previously. Of this controller that's kind of massive. It's got a 6-inch screen in it, or a 6 or 7-inch touch screen.
It looks a lot like a Game Boy Advance, the original model.
It looks
Smoother,
like THQ's Wii draw pad.
Yeah.
And it's got 2 analog sticks, and it's got a camera in it, and gyroscopes, and all this other stuff. And the basic setup of the console is you play your games on the console. They're in HD. It's basically an HD Wii. And if someone wants to come in and use TV, they can use TV, and it'll beam the screen to your pad, so you can play it there. But also you can do, DS-like stuff on the screen. It showed some interesting ways of doing stuff.
Capcom, for example, if they did a Monster Hunter, you can then have your map on your
and all that seems like the more basic stuff of it, which we were thinking. But it showed some of the cool demos were awesome. It had showed a golf game where you put your and you use your Wiimotes as well with it. That's the thing. It's saying this new console uses Wiimotes, and so you put your tablet pad on the floor and stand above it with your Wiimote like a golf club. And when you're looking at the pad on the screen, you can see the golf ball.
That's pretty cool.
You see, and then you hit the golf ball, it moves off the screen and into the TV. That stuff's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was gimmicky, but cool. It doesn't seem like too much, but there was a lot of interesting stuff like that. My biggest problem with it is there's nothing that terribly innovative about it. We've done this connectivity before with GBA and GameCube.
Yeah.
And there's been talk of it with Vita and some of the stuff on that. They're not doing anything. This console's not coming out as well, also until late next year. There's a lot of stuff that Sony can start doing, or anyone can start doing immediately. We're already seeing games played with your iPad and the TV together. If Vita hooks up to PS3, they can do the same. They can do that same stuff. I don't know what they've got. They're saying it's only for one room. It's not a handheld device. It just beams it from the console. You can't go too far away from the console before it stops doing anything. And they only showed and only ever talked about one. Well, they've officially said now you won't be able to buy the controllers separately.
Right.
And it's one controller per console.
Bizarre.
So none of all that cool stuff of us thinking, well, okay, we could be playing Scrabble, for example, and I've got my pieces on my screen, you've got your pieces on your screen, and we're playing on the TV, and we can't see each other's moves.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
None of that.
No.
All the multiplayer stuff they showed was a bunch of Wiimotes on this thing.
Mm.
And that seems like a really odd choice. I don't know what's going on. I mean, it fits in the name, it being you and kind of just you. Is I don't know.
It is shocking though. Maybe it's because of the price.
I imagine
of it.
Yeah.
It could be. It could be like a very
150 quid per.
Well, this is the thing. I don't know. I'm not sure
if
the controller's going to be all that much. But gyroscope's not much. We get those things. But the thing is, there's not a lot of hardware in the controller because it's not actually. it's just streaming the video mainly. That's kind of the thing. So it's not. I think they've kind of said that it's not this. Nothing in this thing, so there shouldn't be too much, but I think one of the biggest problems they've got is that beaming the stuff to one controller is one thing, beaming it to several at the same time is then a bigger strain on the entire system, but it seems weird.
But I mean, Nintendo already have issues with Wii's, as in they don't officially sell at retail the sensor bar.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And you get people coming. A customer today came and said, "Yeah, my kitten's eating my sensor bar."
But you can, but there's not this kind of nothing. You can do it with candles.
We do, yeah, I know, but we do like a third party one.
Yeah.
But she was looking at them on eBay, second hand, $2.99. We sell ours at $15.99.
Right, okay.
For a wireless one. So it's kind of like you need to have that pad available at retail because it's going to get broken.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's true. But
their message was it won't do multi-pad, basically.
Well, that's what I'm saying, one only.
But that's a shame though, because if you both own the console, it'd be great to have your profile that's saved in, and then you've got your me to take to your mate's house and play it together. But I don't know.
But that kind of comes back to VMU, doesn't it, with Dreamcast? Yeah.
Just on a larger scale.
I mean, they've talked about possibly having 3DS act as one of these machines as well, but again, I think there was a lot of regrets coming out of it, and no one seems to really know. And I think a lot of these they don't kind of just know. They didn't really show the console so much. Why there was very much confusion over it. It just showed the pad. I think that's largely because they kind of don't have a console. The console doesn't really exist at this point. They've got a basic shell for it. They know what the specs are going to be, but actually the hardware doesn't really exist at this point. They said alright that all the games they kind of showed, and they showed big, decent core games: Darksiders 2, Batman: Arkham City, Ghost Recon. But they've said, all the footage they were showing was 360 and PS3 stuff. In fact, if you look at the video, the Ghost Recon video they show, it's got www.fraps.com written in the top of the video. And that's fine. You're not expecting to see games at this point. They did show a couple of cool tech demos. They showed this, bird flying through a Japanese garden, which kind of looked nice. And they showed an HD envisioning of Zelda, which looked awesome.
But we've seen HD envisioning of Zelda
exactly.
from them. But
the point is, there's nothing really at this point. There's these cool.
You kind of wonder, if they felt that they had to come to the show with something.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. I think they've rushed to get it out for this. Almost certainly.
But then, like you're saying, it could be catastrophic because essentially, Sony could be doing all of this stuff.
Yeah, I think they've planted the idea, and even if they have,
with your
even if
VR
Sony
on the floor and your move controller,
exactly. even if Sony aren't doing
Woods 13,
and even if Sony aren't doing it, third-party publishers will certainly be looking at that. I think they've just inspired a lot of things, and it's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
So,
especially since Nintendo in the past have been extremely kind of like, here's our console, but we're not going to show you the controller. When it was with the N64, because they were like, as soon as we show the controller, everyone's going to do it.
Yeah, they've always made a big deal out of the controllers. I think Nintendo are losing their mind slightly. I think the 3DS and the Wii U are the death of Nintendo. I categorically say that. I think both of them...
No, not necessarily.
Sony. I'm sorry, it's Sega.
I don't know if they'll go so far as they'll just pull out altogether. I don't think Wii U is going to be...
Nintendo are an old company and they've done a lot of things in the past. They used to be a cab firm. They used to make some weird Japanese card game like 106 years ago or some crap. So it's not unheard of if they see that their profits are dropping. It wouldn't surprise me if they just pulled out games completely and went in a totally new direction. Started making 3D TVs. Started making 3D stereos.
I don't know if they'd be able to do that. But I certainly don't think. I don't think either of these are successful. I don't think 3DS is going to do it, and I don't think Wii U can.
I don't know. They've got a lot of titles under their belt.
Oh, but do they?
Yeah.
Do they? What do they? Don't really.
They've got 5? A long history.
5. They did announce some other stuff. They announced Smash Brothers at the conference for both cross-platform 3DS.
They could pull crap like Wrecking Crew out of their arse, and people would go mad for it.
I think the point is, no, they don't. They don't have anything anymore. I don't know. We'll see. New Mario Brothers.
You can't. You just can't count them out of the game. We just have to wait and see.
No one's counting them out of the game. We are seeing. We are seeing them not doing as well as they have been.
We'll see.
No, we are seeing.
No,
we are.
No.
We're already seeing that.
You're making broad statements. It's going to come back and bite you in your ass.
We're already seeing them doing less than they have done in the past. But
everyone's doing less.
No, they're not. They're not. But other people are seeing increases, and Nintendo are seeing decreases. That is happening. And that doesn't matter because they're still selling loads of everything. It's fine. They're high enough up that they can take drops. But I don't know. The Nintendo thing is really odd. It's an interesting thing, and I don't know if Wii U is the solution. Certainly, if it's one per.
The kind of thing that makes me suspect of it is that everyone's saying it's slightly more powerful than a 360, for example.
Yeah, the specs are up there. I mean, they're up on the.
And it's like you're a bit late to the party. It should be significantly more powerful than a 360 because very soon, we're going to be seeing the next generation in the high definition consoles from Sony and from Microsoft, and they're going to blow it out of the water because they're going to be significantly more powerful.
Well, it depends what that is, though, doesn't it? I think.
So they kind of are playing the Sega game at the moment. They're playing catch up.
They're doing what they've always done.
They've kind of done their own thing.
The Wii's done perfectly fine and being a step behind, and we don't know. The next leap's probably not going to be as large as we would expect.
No,
it's going to be more in terms of connectivity and things like that. So I don't know. I mean, they're getting themselves in an interesting situation. Kind of a first time. Really, for Nintendo in a long time of having third parties come up and go, we'll do this. They can have Call of Duty, they can have Batman Arkham City.
They've got Call of Duty.
No, but proper Call of Duty. But the same console Call of Duty as
kind of quality,
the Wii version, and that will be important to them. That will change things a lot. The Darksiders guys, in particular, Vigil, are just raving about the system. So, We'll see. We'll see how competitive it is. It does seem like it doesn't stand a chance. It looks a bit Fisher-Price as well. It's like, I don't know. But it also looked kind of cool. I kind of want one, you know, but yeah, I don't know.
I know the main console itself looks like a 360's little brother.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, well, yeah, or a little fat Wii.
Yeah.
But there's elements of the pad that seem a bit cheap as well. Like the screen is just a resistive touchscreen. It's basically a DS touchscreen,
right?
Which, as we know, isn't the best touchscreen out there. Not when you compare it to, say, an iPhone or something like that. It's not multi-touch. Works better with a stylus and a finger. You know, tracing your finger on a DS. It doesn't. So it's not a great screen. Which presumably brings price down as well, because Nintendo must be able to make those things or get those things made now so cheaply it's unreal. Sure. But opens up the possibilities for cross-play stuff. So I don't know. It's interesting. Nintendo should. I think overall with their announcement, Nintendo kind of had the biggest thing at E3, but it wasn't. It's not left me feeling great.
No.
We'll see. So any other stuff at E3 then? That's conferences down the way. Anything else that was just kind of floating around nearby that you thought was cool?
I like Never Dead, just because it's
Never Dead. Yeah, Never Dead.
I know
It sounds quite quirky.
it's going to be terrible, we know that, but it's the quirkiness, I quite like it, just the whole body parts thing.
It's an interesting idea in as much as, say, it's like doing something insanely stupid. That's interesting, I suppose, but like it's not necessarily a good idea.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like that. So you're this guy that can't die or has already died and will never die again, and so it means he can lose his limbs and even take his head off or whatever during the game and carry on moving and carry on operating. So you can take your arm off and throw it over a wall with a gun in its hand, and you can then control it and fire the gun and stuff. And yeah, it's Rebellion doing it. A little bit of Japanese help, and
I just want to play it, just to play it once. And
from the makers of Shell Shock 2 and
that
Rogue Warrior comes, and Aliens vs Predator comes Never Dead. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It might be alright. It certainly looks like their best game.
Which is a little bit worrying, to be fair.
Saints Row, the third.
Saints Row.
Awesome.
Cannot wait.
Best trailer ever as well. Even that.
It is good.
So good. Saints Row 3 looks really cool. Like, there's not been a lot of footage that's come out of E3 on it.
I haven't seen the gameplay footage yet.
It looks alright. It looks graphically quite a lot better than Saints Row 2, which isn't saying much. And it doesn't look. It looks.
I don't care.
It probably looks. Yeah, no, exactly. It probably looks about as good as GTA 4 does now. If you go and look.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it just shows some really cool stuff in the gameplay, like awesome takedowns, like Dead Rising style. You only level up in Dead Rising to the point where you can do like all these wrestling moves on zombies. You can basically do that on any pedestrian, which is kind of nice. It showed some awesome sort of fighter jet thing that had a flamethrower on the front of it, which was kind of mental.
I don't know how practical that would be.
Yeah.
No, I think it was kind of just. It almost looked like a dude was trying to steal it, and there were guys coming after him, so he just flamed them. And it looked like someone was trying to steal it before when they were testing the game, and went, "Oh, it'd be great to be able to kill those guys." And so she went, "I'll put flamethrower on for this instance only," and that's kind of it, because it's pointless while you're flying.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looked alright. Customization was cool. It's just Saints Row.
The customization, from what I understand, is meant to be insane on this one. The level they've taken it to, which excites me. I love being able to tweak and mess around with shit. I'll spend literally kind of like 15 minutes just fucking around with eyes and ears and noses and all that sort of crap.
You just want an elf by the sounds of it.
Call him a surgeon.
Yeah, no, I can't wait, man. It's farts and giggles, isn't it?
It's a slightly smaller city as well than before. They've shrunk it back down to do more in it. But and that was initially quite worrying. But they've got fighter jets in it that you can fly. It can't be that small.
Yeah.
No.
It's got a thing called I don't know if it's called the man cannon or if people are referring to it as man cannon. It's got this cannon on the back of a vehicle which can suck up pedestrians.
6 people, isn't it?
6 of them, yeah, and they just fire them out. They're just like blood stains on the wall where they come out, which was kind of cool. I suppose, I kind of don't want to bring it up. You almost have to mention it. Is the sort of dildo sword that it's got, which leads me on to the fact that every single weapon has a groin move.
Oh, yeah, groin kill.
Yeah, it's Saints Row. times Saints Row, isn't it? That'll be cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely.
I suppose other stuff. Battlefield 3 was there, looked amazing, although they showed a really weird demo that was just you sitting in a tank, firing at other tanks, moving along a field, firing at a tank, having a tank firing at you, and then for like 15 minutes.
Right.
I was like, what? Why? This is not...
This is going to kill your game when COD comes out.
This is not the game that I want you... Like, I don't mind tank sequences, but I don't want to watch someone else do one on stage
for 15 minutes, no.
So, I mean, it still looked amazing, so that was that. Ooh. That was quite a large stomach grumble there.
I think a kebab's come back for revenge.
There was... At the Konami conference, they mentioned they're remaking
Metal
Gear and Silent Hill series. So the Metal Gear, they're doing Metal Gear 2, 3 and Peace Walker in HD for 360 and PS3.
Which is exciting.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome. No Metal Gear Solid 1, which was really odd, but they didn't mention it at all. They've now since released a statement saying that they would like to do one, but the problem was it's PS1 games, its polygon count's really low, and it's just really a lot of work to work up. So they want to re-envision the whole thing, and actually they make it sound so loose that they don't have plans to do this, but if they ever have plans to do this is how they would do it, and they want to kind of just re-change things.
It worries you quite a lot.
Well, I think actually they worded it like something like, we want to edit the story a little bit to make way for things that happen later, and it's like, no, everything that happened beyond that point was taken in a worse direction. It's like, well, we're just going to want to seed some of that. Like, don't let the poison in. So, I don't know. So
Haido has already said at one point that he really regrets doing a story about clones.
So, yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to have 2, 3 and Peace Walker on there.
But yeah, that's good. I mean, that'll bring Peace Walker to massive audiences.
Yeah, and it was cool. Yeah. So I don't know what else was shown. This new Hitman was shown. Not a big Hitman fan, but it looks pretty and cool. It's got detective vision in it now, which seems to be another trend that's going through things.
If it can live up to Blood Money, no.
Oh, right, sorry.
No, I haven't seen the movie. I don't watch game movies. I think Doom's literally the only one I've ever watched, and it wasn't great.
Way to pick a great one.
What one was great? Silent Hill?
Super Mario Brothers?
No, that was the bit in the police station's good. The rest of it sucked. But yeah,
Wizard Man.
No. But that's not actually a game related. It's a movie about video games, about Super Mario 3, which wasn't even out then.
All right. But that's why it was amazing. It debuted Super Mario 3.
Okay. And had Fred Savage. Never forget it. Had Fred
Teen
Savage.
Wonder Fred Savage. Give him his full name.
Sorry, I stand corrected. Where was I? I've completely forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, Hitman. If it lives up to Blood Money, the kind of pushing people into Shark Tanks and stuff, I'll be happy.
Wow, we waited that long for that statement. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, it's
all right.
I'm here to help.
Well, what else was shown?
Final
Fantasy 13 too.
It's going to suck.
Yeah, it looks the same.
Why?
Because Final Fantasy 13 sucked, so why make a sequel?
Well, because it's different. It's more open and stuff. I think learn from your mistakes.
The combat system was a massive problem with me.
The thing is, that's the thing that everyone loves the most about that game.
Yeah,
the combat system is the most amazing thing.
Because that's the most.
I think that's you just illustrating.
That's the only thing there that has any appeal to anything at all.
No, that's fine, but I think that's illustrating
the plot was crap.
You don't like the battle system, but people think that's the best battle system they've done. There's two sides.
No, most people would argue that the Gambit system is the best battle system they've done for 12.
I don't know if that's.
And they're both wankers. The people are saying they're both.
Okay, all right, okay. Let's end this
7.
The point was, there's a lot of people that loved 13.
Hello.
There's a lot of people that loved 13, which is why they're doing 13 too.
Right.
And presumably to just recoup some of that money because you're using the same sort of assets and stuff.
Right. So it's basically the non-downloadable content that he said might be downloadable content. Then said there's not going to be any downloadable content. But we've just made 13.2 instead.
And then maybe some of that content that's in there. But it's like they did Final Fantasy 10 too, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's really similar to do more stuff. And this conversation, we need to have this conversation. Have this conversation with me. They're supposed to have changed all of the things that people didn't like. It was, Final Fantasy 13. I didn't play very much of it. They're not my games at all. But was applauded after 30 hours of gameplay. You know, after you put 30 hours
Yeah,
in,
it then goes
changes,
open
opens
world,
up, and it was
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, it may be that I mean, there's good things coming out about 13.2 from E3 that it's just corrected some of these things. So I don't know. It could be Final Fantasy. I don't know. I don't even know where to start on it now. It's huge and chaotic. But yeah, it's had some sort of good response. Arkham City as well is another one.
But you're saying it's a bit of a mixed bag with Arkham City.
I'm hearing some mixed bag things. I mean, overall graphical quality, I don't think is there for this one. It looks like Arkham Asylum, which now looks a little bit old. And I'm not sure. They've had to cut back on certain things to have it more open worldy. It looks alright.
I'm still psyched.
It's going to be cool.
I loved Arkham.
How do you feel about playing as Catwoman for some of the game?
I don't have a problem with it. She looked, from the trailer I saw, she looked like she handles exactly the same as Batman, but she's a chick skin basically. I'm happy to play as Catwoman for a bit. It doesn't sound like she's a massive portion of the game. So.
No, I think it's only about 10%.
Yeah.
I mean, her parts look more badass, to be fair. The fighting is a lot more...
It's more
bendy.
Acrobatic, isn't it? Yeah, it's bendy.
Yeah. Best way of
I was going to say it's like Mr. Fantastic, but he doesn't fight like that, so it doesn't matter.
He's a bit crap as well.
I don't know. It worries me a little bit, if I'm honest.
Really? I saw today, DLC pre-order gift was Robin.
Oh, really?
Which would be, that would have been better, in my opinion.
Really?
I just feel you're going down the whole snake riding thing, which, you know, I mean, literally that could open a Catwoman game, which no one wants. I don't care what anyone says. No one cares.
Well, yeah. Well, I think Arkham City will be alright. It's going to sell millions, isn't it? No matter what.
I'll be buying.
So, you know. What else was shown? Anything else? Sony actually showed Dust 514 at their conference, which was FPS that connects into EVE Online.
I've read about it. I've read about it a while back in Edge.
I mean, it looked like the most generic thing ever, but the overall concept of the way it fits in with the world was kind of cool, and that thumbs up. You know, CCP are a good studio; they know what they're doing with EVE, but I don't know if that extends to.
The problem is it's going to rely heavily on people staying online with it, really, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I mean, if they're just trying to attract the EVE crowd over, that makes sense. But
it's kind of. It didn't seem like that. It seemed like they were aiming at the first-person shooter crowd, but
yeah.
It integrates with EVE. So where you've got your corporation, you can then deploy the troops, which are carried out on multiplayer games on PlayStation and Xbox for that corporation.
It's not PlayStation exclusive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So that might have changed. I can't remember if it was PlayStation exclusive at the time. That I was reading about it. So it sounds heavy.
It sounds heavy.
It sounds kind of like there's a fair amount riding on it.
Yeah, I don't know, it's
in conjunction with EVE.
CCP are hardcore studio doing hardcore things.
It sounds quite hardcore.
I don't know how it's gonna work, but it's interesting. It just doesn't look fancy enough to really stand out.
I heard, because I heard things like EVE doesn't work properly in China because there's not enough people playing it. You need like a minimum of 1 million users to be playing it for it.
Really? I don't know.
The money system to actually kick in properly.
Okay. Well, either way,
yeah, hardcore in hardcore spaces, hardcore things in hardcore spaces,
and doing very well at it. You know, I think they earn very, very, very well. So yeah, that was E3 really.
Did they have gameplay footage of Assassins?
Revelations, yes, Ubisoft, yeah.
I do need to check that out because I am a massive Assassins fan.
Old Snake Ezio.
Yeah, it's the longest running trilogy ever.
This is a good point. This is my problem with Assassin's Creed. This is my problem. Well, they haven't done 3 yet, have they?
It's not Assassin's Creed.
What they've done is they've created.
It's not Brotherhood's not 2.5.
No. But what they've done is this is why it's really confusing. Is that, or not confusing? But this is why Assassin's Creed's lost me. The story is interesting enough as far as I'm concerned for 3 games. I can do that. I can have the first game, the wow, the intrigue. The second game, just different location. The third one needs to just kind of put an end on it, you know. But because they've turned Assassin's Creed 2 into a trilogy, which is really odd. It's really weird Ezio side story sort of thing almost. But it's just kind of, I don't know.
Dragging.
I just want to do 1, 2, 3, and I could have handled that. Now you've lost me by spreading it out too much. I can't get into Assassin's Creed now. And Revelations, I couldn't care less about because I miss Brotherhood.
Yeah, a lot of the problem is that there's a lot of weight on the story. If they'd done it as a trilogy, it would have been alright, but people come into the shop and they're like, reach straight for Assassin's Creed 2, and I'm like, yeah, you can buy it and you can play it and it's a sweet game and you'll appreciate it as a sweet game. But if you want to fully enjoy the plot, you need to play the first one. Everyone's like, yeah, but I heard the first one's crap and really repetitive. It's like, it kind of is, but it kind of sets everything up.
Well, they're games that very much need to be played when they come out.
Yeah.
Because the next one changes stuff so much or corrects enough things that
two
one's
corrects
really old
a
now.
lot.
Yeah. So you can't. It is hard to play one now.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't necessarily. It was.
And one's a lot harder than the other two. I mean, in terms of combat, all the timing is a lot more precise, and the windows are a lot smaller. And they made it a lot easier in 2. They opened the windows up to counter and the like.
So did you see any of the Revelation stuff? You're not paying attention.
I've not seen it.
Okay. Well, it was just old Ezio. From what I could see, old Ezio running across burning ships.
It looks the same as Brotherhood and Bit 2. They didn't really do that much different between
It's just kind of like, I know Revelations isn't going to give me the end of the story, which is what I'm looking for now. I'll play the last Assassin's Creed, but it's interesting how it's turned into 6 games.
Well,
and it's done really well.
The problem being when you pick up 3 is, you're in for a few surprises. You'll be like, what?
maybe. Anything else then?
Not that I can think of.
That's it, there were no more games.
There was, obviously, but we just don't care.
Right. There's probably something epic.
It's a Z title.
That's what extra credits are for.
Yeah.
Alright then, we'll wrap it up there then at the keen 1 hour and a half mark. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time to talk more about some other games. Don't know what we'll be talking about because no games come out.
There's not much
anymore.
out, but there's stuff we haven't played that's out now. Kind of Red Faction.
Infamous.
I've played a bit of Infamous today. I hate that game.
I love Infamous.
Right, okay, so stay tuned for that. Armageddon, I want to give that a go. Toot toot.
Thanks, people outside.
There was a car accident right there yesterday.
Hopefully there'll be some stuff out from Arcade Summer by then that we can talk about.
So we didn't. Microsoft did announce those.
You're playing
I'm playing
Explosion Man beta, so you'll be talking about that.
Yeah.
We won't be listening.
I've started my Sega Saturn again, so
we'll be talking about
classic Daytona and Soviet Strike Action.
I'm playing
dreadful
Resident Evil
games.
tonight.
I also think, cool. I think we should do. I think it's maybe worth us just going back through an old game.
I'm playing Sport at the moment.
I think we should sit down. Yeah, you're playing Sport. I think we should
For the
sit down
first
and find a game. Shut the fuck up. We should sit down and we should decide a game that we're all going to play, and we all have to play it. And we'll talk about that at some point.
Okay.
Some game from yesteryear that Sean hates.
Yeah.
Probably.
Like Another World.
Yeah, I'm not playing Another World. I'm going to punch you in your face.
Another World's the best game ever.
Flashback.
Well, I'd do that, but maybe that's something for us to think about. Anyway, it's time for us to get the hell out of here. You can follow us on Twitter at Things We Play, or find us individually at Mike Goldman, at
Mako Zero,
and at
Little Mistake.
Where we will be sure to either ignore, ridicule, or respond to your messages. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.